Welcome back to the breakaway. Straight off the top, here's the facts. A year ago today, I set off to ride my bike 12,000 miles in 2022. That's 1,000 miles a month for 12 straight months. As somebody who got into cycling in 2021, this was uncharted territory for me. But as you can see from this graphic, I succeeded. 12,344 miles in 703,000 feet of elevation. That's enough to go across the United States 4 times with 24 ascents of Mount Everest. Maybe next year's goal will be 400 rides. Obviously though, this is no small feat, and I'm proud of it, but it's nothing you couldn't do yourself. If you're only here to find out how to ride 12,000 miles in 12 months, the answer is motivation, time on the bike, and health. Stick around for the rest of this video to learn what those 3 concepts really mean and see how I applied them to meet my cycling goals in 2022. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you found this video motivational. Let's first dive into motivation. In order to meet a goal, you need to set the goal. You didn't come to my channel to hear hot takes like that. But seriously, there needs to be a lighthouse on the shoreline that you're driving towards. If you're just training and riding with no purpose, it's going to get stale and you're going to get burned out. 12,000 miles in 2022 wasn't my only cycling goal, but it was one of my 2 big ones. Setting the goal silences the voice in your head that whispers at 8 a.m.
You know, you don't have to ride your bike today. We could call it an unscheduled recovery day.
That voice isn't you. It's the opposite of you, and you need to find your motivation for the goals you set. Every day, remind yourself why you're doing it. The second key point is time on the bike. It certainly helps when you're a tour guide for trek travel, but I want to point out that on those trips, each guide rides every 2nd or 3rd day, which would be less than 200 miles per week. That's not enough to stay on pace for 12,000 miles in a year. So I was also sneaking off for extra miles during my free times in the evenings. If it's important to you, you'll find a way to do it. The third big point is your health. When I'm talking about health, I'm talking about the holistic approach. Riding your bike and riding your bike smartly with a plan and goals is obvious. You don't need me to remind you that riding your bike is healthy. What I'm talking about also includes eating the right foods at the right time, eating the right quantities of food, etc. And sleep. God knows I'm talking about sleep. Make sleep a priority and let your body rebuild itself. It's important for recovery and helping fight off sickness, which could lead to less time on the bike and less motivation. Have the self-control to treat your body well holistically, and it will reward you with incredible performance. So that's the how, but here's the when for me. A short photo montage will show what my year on a bike looked like. In January, I was job hunting and working hard on my graduate degree, but I had a lot of time in the mornings to ride. I was training for the first stage of the Snake Creek Gap 6 Mountain Time Trial. It was a ton of fun, albeit extremely cold. A structured training plan kept me pretty busy into February, where I competed in the 2nd stage of the Snake Creek Gap Time Trial. That was a mountain bike race, but at the end of February, I did my first real road race, the Auburn Criterium, and got lapped by the field. I was so frustrated, but it opened my eyes to what people could do on a bike, and I vowed that I would work hard enough to hang with the best. This is around the time I set my other 2022 goal, to win a race this year. In mid-March, I went to California to interview for the tour guide job at Trek Travel, and found out days later that I was hired. In celebration, I went on a cycling trip to Asheville, North Carolina for a few days, which led to my biggest climbing day of the year. 10,400 feet and 80 miles on the Blue Ridge Parkway. April brought me on my first trip with Trek Travel to guide the Greenville, South Carolina ride camp, which was absolutely incredible. Tons of climbing, big mileage, few distractions. I was in heaven. In May, I competed in the Georgia State Road Race Championships and got 2nd. My fitness was certainly improving, but there's nothing to fuel the fire like being the first loser. June 1st was the start of the first of 2 cross-country trips that I would do with Trek Travel this year. I don't have enough time in this video to do justice to how incredible this trip is, so I'm going to make a full-length review of the cross-country trip in the future. Proudly, I had also completed my master's degree during this time. By mid-July, our feet were wet in the Atlantic Ocean after riding through Wisconsin, Michigan, Ohio, Pennsylvania, New York, Vermont, and Maine. This marked the conclusion of the first cross-country trip, and I spent early August riding at home and spending time with my family. In the middle of August, I started the 2nd cross-country trip, which also began at the Pacific Ocean and ended at the Atlantic. This brought me through to the end of September. In October, I got hit by a car that pulled out in front of me, but was thankfully completely fine. My bike didn't fare as well, with snapped carbon handlebars, which meant a lot of indoor training on Zwift in October until the replacements arrived. The end of October saw me complete my other cycling goal though, taking the overall win at the Georgia Gravel Grinduro. It's amazing how far, both figuratively and metaphorically, you can go in a year. I still think back to how I felt getting lapped in the Auburn Criterium. I had no Trek travel trips in November and December, so I spent a lot of time on my bike following a structured training plan. And that brings us to today, the last day of the year. 12 months, 12,000 miles.